I was in a car accident and ended up in the hospital. Suddenly, I had an urge to tease my boyfriend. Who are you? I asked, watching Lucas's face freeze. I was about to laugh when Lucas suddenly pointed to his best friend, Quinn, and said, I'm your hard boyfriend's friend. He's your boyfriend, Quinn. My expression stiffened, but Quinn stepped forward and said, That's right, I'm your boyfriend. I forced a smile and said, Then take me home. Quinn took me back to his place. He said I'd always lived there. Looking around at a place devoid of any traces of my life, I nodded along, playing blind just like him. I slept in his bed for a while, then wanted to get some water. As I was about to leave the room, I overheard a conversation from the living room. And do me a solid and pretend to be Lily's boyfriend for a while. Aren't you worried she might suddenly regain her memory? If she does and gets angry, I'll just smooth things over. She loves me so much, she wouldn't really leave me anyway. It's just that things have gotten a bit stale between us lately. This is a good chance to take a breather and have some fun on the side. Looks like you and Charlotte have really hit it off, huh? You just want to play around with her for a bit. You know me too well. But of course, I love Lily more. While Lily's with you, don't you dare touch her though. Among my bros, I trust you the most. You seem to really dislike Lily. Anyway, I stepped back barefoot, then made some noise at the door. Before walking towards the living room, Quinn quickly hung up and came over when he heard the sound. The floor is cold. Why aren't you wearing slippers? Quinn hurried over and scooped me up, placing me on the sofa. I'm thirsty, I said, unsure where to find water. I'll get it for you. Quinn went to the water dispenser and poured me a glass, sat beside me and asked anywhere else? Feeling uncomfortable, I shook my head. After drinking the water, he reached out to smooth my messy hair, leaning in to kiss my forehead. I froze, remembering I just heard Lucas tell him not to touch me. I also thought Quinn disliked me. But now when he kissed my lips, turned away, he casually stroked my face. You don't remember. Well, take it slow. Let you get used to me again. It seemed this Quinn guy was deceiving his own friend, too. When Quinn brought me to the private room, it was already lively inside. A group of rich heirs fell silent when they saw me arrive, looking towards Lucas and Unison. Oh, Lily's here. Do you remember me?
I'm Charlotte.
Your college roommate girl sitting next to Lucas greeted me. Quinn LED'd me to sit down. I looked at her and shook my head. I'm sorry. That's all right. We can all get to know each other again, Charlotte said, intimately leaning on Lucas's shoulder. This former college roommate turned friend seemed to be flaunting her closeness to Lucas. Now that she thought I had amnesia, barely concealing her smugness. Lucas also appeared to relish being intimate with another woman in front of me, as if getting a special thrill from it. How nice that both you best friends, boyfriends, are in the circle. You can all hang out together often, memory loss or not. The other friends all understood the situation, but tacitly agreed not to say anything, seemingly taking perverse pleasure in watching an oblivious person being publicly betrayed. They continued playing games. Lucas and Charlotte were eating the same cookie, their mouths getting closer with each bite.
Kiss, kiss.
Everyone started chanting in the charged atmosphere. Lucas and Charlotte shared a deep kiss. Afterwards, Charlotte shyly nestled in Lucas's arms, sneaking a smug glance at me. Lucas held Charlotte contentedly. Then I lost a game and had to take a penalty, kissing someone for 30 seconds. Everyone fell silent, curious who I would choose. Surely I wouldn't instinctively pick Lucas. Lucas seemed nervous, avoiding eye contact. He apparently didn't want me to have an instinctive reaction. So soon Quinn beside me also tensed up. I smiled and said, Of course I'll pick my boyfriend. I said this as I turned to Quinn. Shall we? I clearly felt Quinn relax. He looked at me steadily and leaned in. I took the initiative to wrap my arms around his neck and kissed him. Whoa, came a chorus of surprise sounds. These people may have seen Lucas embrace other women and kiss them, but they certainly never expected to see me do this with another man. So they let out surprised woes. But then suddenly fell silent. Quinn seemed to kiss without restraint, pursuing aggressively. His tongue swept through my mouth, chasing and entangling with mine. His arm around my waist tightened, as if wanting to swallow me whole. After 30 seconds, I pulled away to see Lucas's face dark with anger. That's why everyone had suddenly gone quiet. How laughable. Quinn gently wiped away a bit of moisture at the corner of my mouth. What's wrong with everyone? Didn't I just take my penalty? I asked, feigning confusion at the strange atmosphere. Lily may have amnesia, but she's certainly not shy with her boyfriend. Charlotte's words dripped with sarcasm at my apparent stupidity. Lucas looked even more displeased. I went to the restroom outside, but overheard voices coming from the stairwell. Quinn told you not to touch her. That was out of line just now. Lucas's voice was cold.
It was just a game.
She has amnesia. Did you expect her to choose you?
Who has a woman by his side?
That wouldn't make sense. I'm the boyfriend you personally chose for her. Now Quinn's tone was light. Lucas fell silent, then said, fine. Just be careful. I don't believe you'd actually be into Lily and sleep with her. But try to avoid intimate contact if you can. It must be hard for you to tolerate, too, right? I feel bad putting you in this position. You know me well, Quinn replied. Back at Quinn's villa, he grabbed my arm as I was about to enter my room. Without a word, he lowered his head and kissed me. I tried to turn away, but he held me firmly. He pressed me against him, forcefully, gripping my chin as he kissed me aggressively, not allowing any rejection. It was so intense I could barely breathe. After a long while, he finally pulled back and stroked my face, saying softly, we made progress today.
Didn't we?
We can gradually get more familiar. I looked up at him dazed. His actions seemed completely contrary to what his friend had said. I didn't understand him. Lucas and I came from very different backgrounds. He had worked hard to get me to accept him, step by step. Later, I met some of his friends, a group of rich heirs, especially Quinn. It was common knowledge in their circle that Quinn disliked me and looked down on me. He always had a somewhat contemptuous attitude towards my relationship with Lucas. I used to avoid him whenever possible, but after I lost my memory, and Lucas forcibly paired me up with him as a couple, he kept taking advantage. To do things like this was to get revenge on Lucas for pairing us up. My job as a designer was quite flexible, so I often worked from home. Quinn knocked and came in. You've been working hard. There are fireworks tonight. Let's go watch. We rushed to the lakeside where the fireworks were being set off. Lucas and Charlotte were standing in the best spot, watching the grand fireworks display. Charlotte leaned against Lucas, suddenly jumping up happily to plant a kiss on his cheek. Looking so adorable, Lucas smiled at her, tapping her nose playfully. He turned and saw us. Lucas stiffened for a moment when he saw me, then quickly pretended nothing had happened. Charlotte also noticed us. Oh, you guys are here, Lily. Perfect timing. Can you take some photos of me and Lucas? Charlotte called out, handing me her phone. Lucas's expression faltered as he glanced at me. I'm so happy today. Lucas set off these fireworks just for me. I want to capture this moment forever, Charlotte said, gazing at Lucas lovingly as she went to his side. Lucas's expression softened as he put his arm around her. My hand holding Charlotte's phone froze. So Lucas had organized this grand fireworks show for Charlotte. I looked through the viewfinder at their embracing figures. Lucas held Charlotte tenderly, while she leaned against his chest with a blissful, contented smile. The magnificent fireworks in the background created such a romantic scene. I silently took their photos. Lucas had once set off fireworks across the entire lake. For my birthday, too. Charlotte had volunteered to take photos for us then. I was probably just as happy and blissful as Charlotte was now. Back then, Charlotte had said wistfully, I'm so envious of you, too. I hope I'll find someone who treats me that well someday. I had reassured her that she would. Now it seems she really had. Quinn took the phone from my hand. That's enough. You're not here just to be their personal photographer. He tossed the phone back. Lucas caught it and handed it to Charlotte. After the fireworks show, Charlotte and I went to the restroom. It was too crowded, so I decided not to go after all. But on the way back, I overheard the two men waiting for us talking again. You and Charlotte seem to be having a great time. When's the last time you and Lily were this happy? Quinn was saying, it's true. Being with Charlotte lately feels like rediscovering what I once had with Lily. Charlotte is even sweeter and more attentive than Lily. She makes me feel comfortable and happy. Lucas replied. Then why not just let things be? Charlotte does seem more your type. Lily can be quite stubborn sometimes, causing you a lot of frustration.
Right?
Quinn said. Quinn, Lily, and I have years of history. It's not something I can just end on a whim. Charlotte says she's not expecting anything long-term. She'd be content just enjoying our time together while it lasts. Such a silly girl.
Lucas sighed.
Back at the villa, Quinn suddenly embraced me and kissed me. Then he pulled back slightly to look at me seriously. Lily, you know what? You're the best version of yourself. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. I stared at him in shock. It was as if he was responding to Lucas comparing me to Charlotte.
How?
How did he understand me so well? He knew all my little habits that Lucas had forgotten. My favorite candies, favorite foods, favorite movies. He was pushing things further than before. I didn't object. He looked at me in surprise, then swept me up in his arms and carried me into his room. Lucas had been my only man. When he first pursued me, I was full of distrust. His sincerity and determination, his attitude towards my grandmother, and the help he gave her in private, moved me. Later, when his parents disapproved and cut off his finances, I thought that would be when he realized our differences. But he didn't give in. Instead, he worked part-time jobs with me while we attended classes. In the end, his parents relented out of concern for him. That's when I truly started a relationship with him. When my only grandmother passed away, he held me close and said I still had him. He said he would always be by my side. A relationship that was once so deep had now completely changed. If that's how it is, then I'll learn to love a new man. The morning light in Quinn's room was different from what I was used to. In the home I shared with Lucas, the curtains were always heavy velvet, keeping the world out. Here, sheer linen let the sun paint soft stripes across the duvet. I woke up alone, but the scent of coffee and toasted bread drifted from the door. When I walked out barefoot again, I found Quinn in the kitchen. He wasn't wearing the sharp, tailored suits he usually wore to intimidate business rivals. He was in gray sweatpants and a white t-shirt, looking domestic and dangerously approachable. "Slippers," he said without turning around. I paused. "How did you know I was there?" "Reflex." He turned, holding a spatula. He pointed to a pair of fluffy pink slippers by the island. "I bought them early this morning. The floors are marble, they aren't kind to your feet." I slipped them on. They fit perfectly. Just like he knew my ring size, my favorite candies, and exactly how I liked my eggs, runny, with a dash of pepper. "Lucas called," Quinn said casually, sliding a plate onto the counter. My heart skipped a beat, not out of love, but out of a conditioned reflex of anxiety. What did he want? He wanted to know if you've remembered anything, and to remind me that we have a double date tonight. Dinner at Le Jardin. I gripped the fork. Le Jardin was where Lucas took me for our anniversaries. It was also, apparently, where he wanted to parade his mistress in front of his amnesiac girlfriend. "Do we have to go?" I asked, looking up at him through my lashes. Quinn leaned against the counter, crossing his arms. His eyes, usually cold and mocking in the past, were warm now. "We don't have to do anything you don't want to, Lily. But," he paused, a wicked glint entering his eyes, "if we don't go, Lucas might think I'm not doing my job properly. And we wouldn't want him to worry, would we?" I understood the subtext. Let's go, and make him miserable. "Okay." I smiled, a real smile this time. "But I have nothing to wear." Quinn smirked. "Check the closet in the guest room. I had a few things sent over." A few things was an understatement. The closet was filled with the latest season's couture. But not the flashy, revealing styles Lucas preferred Charlotte to wear, nor the overly modest clothes he forced on me to look like a wife. These were elegant, bold, artistic. Clothes that screamed me. The designer me, the one Lucas had slowly stifled. I chose a backless emerald dress. When I walked out, Quinn's breath visibly hitched. "Too much?" I asked. He walked over, his hand ghosting over the exposed skin of my back. "It's dangerous," he murmured. "Lucas is going to lose his mind." "Good," I whispered. The atmosphere at Le Jardin was suffocatingly expensive. Lucas and Charlotte were already seated. Charlotte was wearing a white dress that looked suspiciously like something I owned years ago, playing the innocent flower. Lucas looked tired, but his eyes lit up when he saw Charlotte, until he saw me. Quinn guided me to the table, his hand possessively on the small of my back. Lucas's eyes dropped to Quinn's hand, his jaw tightening. "You're late," Lucas snapped, then tried to soften his tone. "Lily, you look different." Quinn picked it out, I said brightly, sitting down. "He has wonderful taste. Better than." I pretended to think. "Well, I don't remember who bought my clothes before, but they were so boring." Lucas flinched. Charlotte giggled, though it sounded forced. "Oh, Lily, you always had such a simple style. It's nice to see you trying to be flashy." "It's not flashy," Quinn said, his voice smooth as silk but cutting as a knife. "It's elegant. Some people just don't have the posture to pull it off. Lily does." Charlotte's smile froze. The dinner was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Lucas kept trying to bring up old memories to test me, while simultaneously playing footsie with Charlotte under the table. I knew because I dropped my napkin and saw them. "So," Lucas said, swirling his wine. "Quinn, how is cohabitating going?" "Not too much trouble, I hope." "It's been a revelation," Quinn said, looking directly at me. "I always thought Lily was high maintenance. Turns out, she just needed the right attention." He reached over and wiped a crumb from my lip, his thumb lingering. I didn't pull away. I leaned into it. "I had a nightmare last night." I lied, looking at Lucas. "I dreamt I was in a car accident. But there was someone else there. Someone who didn't help me." Lucas went pale. "Dreams are just stress, Lily." "Quinn was there when I woke up," I continued, turning my gaze to the man beside me. "He held me until I fell back asleep." That part was true. I had woken up crying, overwhelmed by the reality of my life crumbling. Quinn hadn't asked questions. He just held me. "You slept in the same bed?" Lucas's voice rose an octave. "Quinn, I told you. She was scared, Lucas. Quinn interrupted, his voice dropping to a dangerous growl. What was I supposed to do? Leave her crying in the dark? Is that what you would have done? The table went silent. Lucas looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. He couldn't say yes because he was pretending to be the concerned friend. He couldn't say no because he was currently cheating on me. I'm just looking out for her virtue, Lucas muttered. Her virtue is safe with me, Quinn said, taking a sip of wine. Because unlike some men, I know the value of what's in front of me. Charlotte sensed the tension shifting away from her. Desperate for attention, she knocked her fork onto the floor.
Oops.
Lucas, darling, can you help me? Lucas dove under the table. I felt a wave of nausea. I need some air, I said, standing up abruptly. I'll come with you, Quinn said. No. Lucas popped his head up. I'll go. Quinn, stay with Charlotte. Before I could protest, Lucas grabbed my arm and dragged me toward the terrace. The night air was cool. Lucas cornered me against the stone railing. What are you doing, Lily? He hissed. Getting fresh air? I blinked, playing the confused amnesiac. Why are you angry? You're Quinn's friend, right? Why do you act like you own me? Because he stopped himself. Because I care about you. Quinn is a player. He uses women. I don't want you to get hurt. He treats me like a princess, I said softly. He listens to me. He doesn't compare me to other women. And he certainly doesn't look at Charlotte the way you do. Lucas froze. What do you mean? I may have lost my memory, Lucas, but I'm not blind. You look at her like you're hungry, and she looks at you like she's won a prize. I stepped closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. If I didn't know better, I'd say you were jealous that I'm with Quinn. I am not. Lucas ran a hand through his hair. Look, just don't let him touch you. Okay? Promise me. Why? I tilted my head. He's my boyfriend. Isn't that what boyfriends do? Lucas looked like he was in physical pain. It's complicated. Just trust me. He reached out to grab my shoulders, but a hand intercepted his wrist. Quinn stepped out of the shadows. She's cold, Lucas. And dessert is served. Lucas yanked his hand back. We were just talking. Looked more like you were interrogating my girlfriend, Quinn said. He took off his suit jacket and draped it over my shoulders. The warmth engulfed me, smelling of sandalwood and safety. Let's go home, Lily, Quinn said. Home, I repeated. It was the first time that word didn't feel like a lie. 2 weeks passed. The game continued. Lucas grew more erratic, showing up at Quinn's office, calling me late at night just to check in, while Charlotte posted passive-aggressive photos of date nights on Instagram. I was working in Quinn's study one afternoon while he was at a meeting. I was looking for a stapler when I opened the bottom drawer of his mahogany desk. There was a sketchbook inside. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. My breath caught in my throat.
It was me. Sketches of me from college.
Sketches of me at the library. Sketches of me presenting my final thesis. Sketches of me on the day I met Lucas. And there were notes. October 14th. She smiled today. She has a dimple on her left cheek that only shows when she's truly happy. December 3rd. Lucas is going to ask her out. I should have made a move. I'm a coward. February 10th. She's crying in the quad. Lucas forgot Valentine's. I left her favorite chocolates on her desk. Hope she thinks they're from him. I just want her to stop crying. Tears pricked my eyes. The anonymous gifts. The mysterious help when my grandmother was sick. The charity fund that paid for her surgery. Lucas had taken credit for it, claiming he pulled strings with the hospital board. It was never Lucas. It was Quinn. He had loved me for 6 years. In silence. From the shadows. Watching his best friend treat me like an accessory, stepping in only to patch up the wounds Lucas caused. I heard the front door open. I quickly put the book back, but my hands were shaking. Quinn walked in, loosening his tie. He stopped when he saw me. He saw the red rim of my eyes. Lily? What happened? He rushed over, kneeling beside my chair. Did you remember something bad? Did Lucas call? I looked at this man, this arrogant, wealthy, supposedly heartless playboy, and I saw him for the first time.
No, you whispered.
I realized I've been very blind. He stiffened, thinking I meant the amnesia. It's okay. Take your time. Quinn, I said, reaching out to cup his face. Why are you so good to me? He leaned into my touch, closing his eyes. Because you deserve it. Because you've spent too long settling for less than you're worth. I didn't kiss him. Not yet. The lie was still between us. But I made a vow right then. Lucas was going to pay and Quinn was going to get the girl.
For real this time.
The annual Winters Corporation Gala was the social event of the season. Lucas's family owned a company, so he would be the center of attention. He had insisted that Quinn and I attend. It's time to announce the engagement, Lucas had told Quinn over the phone, thinking I couldn't hear. I'm going to propose to Charlotte. But I need Lily there. I need her to see it. Maybe the shock will bring her memory back, and then I can dump her officially. You're a piece of work, Quinn had replied. Just bring her. I wore red. Not just any red. A deep, blood-red silk gown that clung to every curve, with a slit up to my thigh. Quinn wore a tuxedo that matched perfectly. We looked like a power couple. We looked like war. When we entered the ballroom, silence rippled through the crowd. Lucas was on the stage, holding a microphone. Charlotte was standing next to him, beaming, wearing a massive diamond ring on her finger. Ladies and gentlemen, Lucas announced, his voice booming. Thank you for coming. Tonight is special. I want to celebrate the love of my life, Charlotte. Applause. Polite, confused applause. Everyone knew he had been with me for years. I squeezed Quinn's arm. Ready? Always, he whispered. Lucas spotted us. He smiled, a cruel, triumphant smile. And look, my best friend Quinn is here with an old friend. Lily, come up here. He wanted to humiliate me. He wanted to show everyone that I was the discarded past and Charlotte was the future. I walked up the stairs, Quinn a step behind me. The spotlight hit us. Lily, Lucas said into the mic, feigning concern. I know you've been struggling with your memory lately. I hope seeing us happy triggers something for you. Charlotte giggled, clinging to his arm. We just want you to be happy for us, Lily. Even if you don't remember us. I took the microphone from Lucas's hand. He let me take it, expecting a confused, stammering speech. I looked out at the crowd. I saw the faces of the friends who had mocked me. I saw the business partners who had ignored me. Then I turned to Lucas. You're right, Lucas, I said, my voice clear and steady. Seeing you two together, it really did trigger something. Lucas smiled expectantly. I remember, I said. The room went quiet. I remember, I continued, pacing slowly around them. I remember that Tuesday when you told me you were working late, but you were actually at the Hotel Del Luna with Charlotte. Room 304. Lucas's face went white. Charlotte gasped. I remember. I went on, my voice gaining strength. I remember when my grandmother died. You told me you were too busy to come to the funeral. But actually, you were at a yacht party in Ibiza with her. I pointed a manicured nail at Charlotte. The crowd began to murmur.
Phones were coming out.
And I remember, I said, turning to Quinn, my eyes softening. I remember who actually paid for my grandmother's surgery. I remember who sent me soup when I was sick and you were too hungover to care. I remember who has loved me without asking for anything in return. I turned back to Lucas, whose mouth was opening and closing like a fish. You wanted to break up with me, Lucas? You wanted to use my accident as an excuse to discard me like an old toy? You don't get to fire me. I quit. I reached into my purse and pulled out a USB drive. And just so everyone knows I'm not hallucinating, here are the security recordings from our apartment. The ones where you discuss how easy it is to manipulate stupid Lily. I tossed the drive to the tech guy at the side of the stage. He was confused, but Quinn gave him a sharp nod. The massive screen behind us flickered to life. Lucas's voice boomed over the speakers. She loves me so much, she wouldn't really leave me anyway. It's just that things have gotten a bit stale. You just want to play around with her for a bit. The crowd gasped. The shareholders looked furious. Lucas's father, the CEO, looked like he was about to have a stroke. Charlotte tried to cover the camera lens of a nearby reporter. Lucas lunged for the microphone, but Quinn stepped in front of me, a solid wall of muscle. Don't, Quinn said low and dangerous. You're done, Lucas. I took Quinn's hand. Let's go. We walked off the stage to the sound of Lucas shouting and the chaotic buzz of a scandal breaking in real time. We didn't look back. The fallout was swift and brutal. The video went viral. #LucasCheater trended globally. The Winters Corporation stock took a hit, and the board, led by Lucas's father, removed him from his position to save face. Charlotte, realizing Lucas was no longer the golden goose, dumped him publicly in an interview, claiming he manipulated her too. Lucas tried to call me. Hundreds of times. Flowers arrived at Quinn's house. Letters begging for forgiveness, claiming he only realized he loved me when I left. I burned them all in the fireplace while drinking Quinn's expensive wine. But there was one loose end. Me and Quinn. We were still living together, but the dynamic had shifted. The fake dating excuse was gone. The amnesia was gone. Now it was just us. And the weight of 6 years of silence. One rainy evening, I found him on the balcony. So, I said, wrapping a blanket around myself. When were you going to tell me? Tell you what? He didn't look at me. That you loved me. He froze. Then slowly he turned. Since the day you walked into Art History 101 and argued with the professor about Van Gogh. You were so passionate.
So alive.
I knew I was in trouble. And you let me date Lucas. Lucas saw you first. And you looked happy. At the start, at least. I thought if he makes her happy, I can step back. But then he stopped making you happy. And I couldn't step back anymore. He looked at me, vulnerability raw in his eyes. I don't expect you to jump from him to me, Lily. I know you need time. You can stay here as long as you want. I won't touch you. I won't. I dropped the blanket and stepped closer. Quinn, I interrupted. You asked me once to pretend to be your girlfriend. You said we would take it slow, let me get used to you. I reached up and loosened his tie. I think I'm used to you now. Lily, he warned, his voice straining. Don't do this unless you mean it. I can't be a rebound. Not for you. You're not a rebound, I said, pressing my palm against his chest, feeling his frantic heartbeat. You're the standard. I was just too blind to see it. I kissed him. It wasn't like the kiss during the game. It wasn't for show. It was a promise. It was slow, deep, and terrifyingly real. He made a sound low in his throat and wrapped his arms around me, lifting me off the ground. I love you, he whispered against my lips. I have loved you for every second of the last 6 years. I know, I smiled against his mouth. Make up for lost time. The gallery opening was packed. My new collection, unveiled, was a massive success. I stood by the entrance, greeting guests. I saw a familiar figure in the back. Lucas. He looked older, tired. His suit was off the rack, not tailored. He was watching me with a look of profound regret. He started to walk toward me, opening his mouth to speak. Maybe to apologize. Maybe to try one last time. But before he could get close, a hand slid around my waist. The curator wants a photo with the star of the evening, Quinn said, pressing a kiss to my temple. He looked sharp, powerful, and radiating happiness. He saw Lucas. Quinn didn't get angry. He didn't sneer. He just looked at Lucas with a calm indifference, then turned his full attention back to me. Ready, my love? Ready, I said. I didn't look at Lucas again. He was a chapter in a book I had finished reading a long time ago. I walked into the light with Quinn, my hand in his, finally, exactly where I belonged.